How you choose to express yourself, it's all your own, and I can tell it comes naturally. It comes naturally. You follow what you feel inside. It's intuitive, you don't have to try. It comes naturally. It comes naturally.
From Green 960 in San Francisco, I'm Beth Greer, and this is your Supernatural Life. This show is part of the Green Morning, heard every Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific. My show's about taking natural living up a notch to supernatural living. And speaking of supernatural, I try not to use household cleaners that are toxic. And I've been using hydrogen peroxide and white vinegar. And so I take one spray bottle, put hydrogen peroxide in, and one spray bottle, and put white vinegar in it. And I spray down my countertops and my cutting boards, and it kills 99.9% of E. coli, salmonella, all kinds of bacteria. And, if you go to the store, I brought in a bottle today, Windex, and, this is stuff I grew up with. It also says it kills 99.9% of bacteria. But here's the catch. Windex says on the label it has active ingredients 0.18%, 18%, 0.18%, right? And then inert ingredients says 98.82%. What does that mean, inert ingredients? They're not telling you what is in this bottle of Windex. And if you turn it around and look on the label, right in big bold letters, it says hazards to humans and domestic animals. So why would anybody want to use this when you can use something that, granted it smells like vinegar. I brought it in today, and my the studio smells a little bit like vinegar, but as soon as it dries, it is gone. The smell's gone. So this is just one way we're polluting the air inside our homes and compromising our health and well-being. And the Environmental Protection Agency says that the air inside our homes can be 10 times more polluted than the air outside, even if you live in a city like LA or New York. Well, my guest today is going to enlighten us on the myriad of other ways we are polluting the air inside our homes. David Johnston is founder and president of What's Working, an internationally recognized sustainability consulting company. He's an award-winning green pioneer who, for the past 30 years, has been working to transform the building industry to become greener and more sustainable. David was part of the development team for LEED, the Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, that has literally transformed the market for green commercial buildings in the United States. He's trained thousands of building professionals over the past 17 years and has influenced the construction of tens of thousands of affordable green homes built from coast to coast. He's the author of 4 books, including Green from the Ground Up and his latest, Towards a Zero Energy Home. David teaches people how to connect the dots, what directions to take, what next steps are in order, and how to get from here to there. And I'm so glad you're here today with us, David. Welcome to your Supernatural Life.
Beth, what a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's wonderful. And, I would really love you to help enlighten our audience on what is lurking beneath the surface of our homes, because most people, I think that our homes are safe havens. But what is that indoor pollution actually coming from?
Well, it's not coming from a place. It's coming from our homes. And this is the thing, because we do hope and trust and believe that our homes are our castles and our kids are safe inside. And the statistic from EPA that you quoted is profound. In fact, it's probably one of the top 5 health hazards in our world today. And people are just shocked when they hear that statistic.
Wow. So the top 5,
context,
yeah, that's amazing.
Only 2 of all the chemicals that EPA regulates, only 2 are more prevalent outside than inside today.
Huh.
And that's shocking. And that's from that radical left publication called Scientific American.
So what are the 3 that are inside that are...
Well, it's not the 3. It's the hundreds, actually.
Right.
New carpet by itself will introduce over 100 synthetic chemicals into our homes. And so one of the first things that we think about when we talk about greening a home is how do we keep carpet out?
Uh-huh.
So that's just one example, but it's just all synthetic and layers and layers and layers of toxins that can impact our health subtly or not so subtly. In fact, kids' health is pretty compromised by that Stainmaster treatment
Right.
that
Right.
we read so much about as though it's a good thing.
Well, let me
The
just
number
ask you.
one-
Wait,
Yeah,
before
go
you
ahead.
get to the number, when you said keep carpets out, so are you even meaning like wool carpet?
Well, that's a wonderful question because, again, we make assumptions about so many of these products. Wool, we think is natural, and we love the feel of wool in our clothes. And wool carpet is beautiful, some of the most expensive carpet we can buy. And if it's imported wool, our beloved USDA requires that the manufacturers spray it with a toxic insecticide that is banned for all other uses in the U.S. except for killing the potential moths in wool carpet.
Huh.
And so something that's too toxic to be used in fields is okay to use on the carpet that our toddlers are crawling around on.
No, even if this is like an eco wool, if you go into a green store and buy an eco wool carpet, is that also?
Only imported carpet
Okay.
from New Zealand or Iceland, some of the most beautiful carpets you've ever seen. But testing it, literally, I've done this personally through labs that do this kind of testing, and it's off the charts.
Wow, that is shocking.
Yep. So natural wool that's American, that's domestic, is great. But we have this illusion that if it's coming from EU, for example, who has much higher standards than we have, that it's fine, and it's not.
And it's not, huh? Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. Interesting. I thought New Zealand pristine, Australian pristine wool. No. So in other words, when it comes into this country, here in America, they're being sprayed.
Before it's allowed
Before
in
it's
the
allowed in.
country.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
So that's just an example of the illusion of safety that we have.
Yes.
But the big one that most people aren't aware of is formaldehyde.
Right. That nasty volatile organic compound that's in so many things. In particle board, I know that people are, shelving emits a lot of it. And where else is that coming from, formaldehyde?
Particle board, anything that has particle board in it. So probably 90% of our cabinets, countertops, stair treads, subfloor, and a variety of places, lots and lots of inexpensive furniture, all has particle board as its base.
So all that
People
stuff
go
that
formaldehyde. Now, I've heard that word a lot, but what is it? And so my question is, for those who went to high school and took biology, what did those little frogs come in? Little bottles of formaldehyde.
Right. It's embalming fluid, right?
And it's embalming fluid. So we know one thing without any science, and that's that it pickles organic tissue really, really well. And so we're pickling the brains of our young ones, up to 5 or 6 years old, as their brains are developing like crazy. If they're in a chronically high formaldehyde environment, their brains have a hard time developing appropriately.
Right. Well, okay, so if you've just installed, let's say, new carpeting, carpeting, yes, but I'm thinking about the particle board, bookshelves and stuff where you've gone to one of these stores and installed it. So I'm sure that the formaldehyde is off-gassing much more rapidly. But what happens if you're living in a home and you have these substances? Isn't it a little bit safer? Is it less toxic over time?
Yes, and that's a great observation. We call it the half-life of the off-gassing of these chemicals, and the half-life is 3 to 5 years for particle board. So it takes quite a while. After 5 years, though, it's starting to get into the background level. But new cabinets and new carpet, formaldehydes and carpet for that matter, it's going to off-gas quickly and intensely. The thing with the combination in a new home of lots of particle board products, especially in manufactured homes, house trailers may be the worst. FEMA trailers are definitely the worst, 40 times our national maximum tolerable exposure in those FEMA trailers. So carpet, as it warms up, as it gets more humid outside, absorbs airborne chemicals and then re-releases them and absorbs and re-releases depending on temperature and humidity. And so it's constantly breathing in and out. So we think the cabinets are off-gassing, but they're off-gassing into the carpet,
Oh,
for example.
right. That's interesting. And then as your house warms up, if you turn the heat on or if it's a hot day, it gets worse. That's interesting.
Correct. It will off-gas whatever it's absorbed.
So it sounds like, in general, you don't want carpeting in your home as a rule.
Well, anyone who is eats health food, is paying attention to the health of their kids, which most moms are, it's much better to use rugs that can be washed that are cotton or hemp or sisal is a grass-like substance we can make carpets out of, rugs out of. Much better alternatives to wall-to-wall carpet.
Okay.
Unfortunately, you get what you pay for in America, and the cheaper it is, the more chemical, the more synthetic it tends to be. And that's a pretty good rule of thumb.
Right. You know, I know this man who had chronic sore throats in the morning, and he couldn't figure it out. And so I walked into his bedroom, and I immediately could feel that, like, my throat burning. I'm very sensitive to scent and chemicals and stuff. And I said, "Did you just get a new carpet?" He said, "Yes." I said, "You know, you need to get rid of it. I'm sorry to say." And he was like, "It was so plush and beautiful and all this." But he did get rid of it, and his sore throats went away, and he's so happy. You know, it's just people don't make that connection. He hadn't made that connection at all. He thought he was having some kind of disease, you know.
Oh, and it's frightening for folks because the conventional medical community doesn't recognize a lot of these environmental illnesses. And yet, increasingly, the Center for Disease Control is saying that many of our health challenges are environmentally driven. So what's in our immediate environment? And so we have to start with what's surrounding us at home, and then we can look at the bigger issues. But where we think the smokestacks and the manufacturers and the power plants are the culprits, big bad industry, in fact, no, it's our own homes.
Yeah, that's really surprising. Well, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, let's continue our talk. I want to talk about phthalates, which has kind of been in the news lately. So we'll take a quick break.